All right, welcome back to another episode of Van City Microdose Podcast. This is the Morning Dose. My name is Mike Olton.
And I'm James Coulter.
He is. He's not lying to you. He is definitely James Coulter. And we are microdosing coaches here in the city of Vancouver. We travel all over the Lower Mainland and some parts of BC. And we like to help people find themselves. And it isn't fix themselves, because I don't believe in it being a fixer. I believe in it as being a finder.
Or even expanding them.
Or an expander is good.
Opening them up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, you know, my theory with the whole thing is, like, once you experience trauma in your life, you can't get rid of it.
It's like you're stuck.
Yeah. And when there comes a time in your life you have to accept the fact that things have happened to you.
Acceptance.
Right. And it's like that in anything, AA, NA, you know, therapy, you know, dealing with anything. The acceptance stage is the biggest stage of it all, because that's where your brain shifts, is in the acceptance stage, right?
And the brain's very powerful. You got to know how to navigate it.
What happens with trauma, when you experience trauma, just for the folks out there, is that, you know, the trauma hits your brain, and your brain has this automatic defense mechanism that goes, okay, wait, oh, that hurts, or that really sucks. We're going to block that, or we're going to, you know, dull our pain sensor. We're going to do something to help you cope.
Shuts part of the brain
trauma
down. Right.
And what your brain does, it basically shuffles all the trauma somewhere else in your brain, so you don't think about it, right? But you feel it, and it affects you because it happened to you, right? And even though you can come up with things to maybe divert your attention, the trauma's always there, working behind the scenes to ruin your life, right? And until you come to grips and make the deal with the trauma's like that douchebag behind the scene that's like poking and saying things about you and calling you names and trying to ruin your relationships with people. The bully, right? That's your trauma. And until you face up with the bully and say, hey man, what's up? Like, let's work this out. Then
you got to get it out.
The trauma's always going to be there. So just like a bully, you could go and kill a bully, right? But that will create all new trauma for you with a new bully, right? So you can't kill the bully. All you can do, like when you have a bully, is talk to them and work something out and stop the bullying. And that's what dealing with trauma is. And that's what, you know, what people don't really think about. You know, when you do meds or you go to therapy, it's just pouring a blanket on top of your problems.
You're blocking the bully.
And you're just blocking, but the bully's still hitting you over top of that blanket, you know? And you have to come face to face with it. And that's what this therapy is. The therapy, it doesn't fix you. It isn't the mushrooms that fix you. It's the experience of the mushrooms that help you understand.
And it helps you fix yourself.
Yeah.
Not necessarily fix, but understand, yeah.
Right, you had the first one. You expanded. You expand your understanding of who you are, you know?
I look at it sort of like this. When you're in addiction, you live in, say, your cup, all right? Regular people live in their cup. When you do drugs, you come out of your cup, and if you keep on drugs, you stay out of the cup. And microdosing lets you open the cup, but you can still stay inside. You can see everything, but you're still in your zone, your world.
And you have no ceiling. You can actually, you know.
It opens your eyes. It opens your eyes. It expands your mind and opens your eyes.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, in my therapy sessions I've had with people, the one common thing that I see is doubt. Is self-doubt, and the feeling that you can't change because it's just who you are, right? I've had clients who've actually said, this is just who I am. I'm just this sad person, just who I am. And I'm like, no, see, that's your brain playing tricks with you.
That's the brain sort of closing off.
So
you need to open up. You need to expand it. And yeah, I mean, I don't think microdosing is going to work on everybody, but I mean, there's a huge percentage of people it will work on.
Yeah. Now, share with us what you were dealing with that forced you to go there before we talk about other people? What was yours? Was it depression?
That forced me to
Yeah.
start microdosing? Oh, let's see. Well,
The
my good
sadness?
friend Mike Olton suggested it. I think more it was a lot of stress.
Stress.
Stress with, growing up without the parents to guide me and push me into college. It's the stress of always taking care of myself, always having, to have money in the bank for those bills to be paid because, I've had my power shut off before. I've been kicked out of an apartment for not paying. So being responsible. Also, finding a mate.
Yeah.
I was 44 years old, no children, and really want a child. So
Connecting with people here, it was just, those were crazy days.
I started microdosing because my therapist wasn't helping me. Or I still had an anger problem. I would still, yell at my wife. I would still, feel so low some days I don't want to get up. I don't want to go on conventional medication. One thing I don't do is painkillers. Don't want to be on any mood stabilizers. I'm a happy-go-lucky person. I have friends, but there's certain times when I isolate and I'm not happy and I don't feel like being around people, and I needed something to change in my life. And all the literature about microdosing, I was reading it back to back, and I decided to give it a shot. And the first time I did microdose, I didn't feel nothing. It was just these tablets, and did them 5 days a week and kept doing them. And like I said, after the 6-week period, that's when I felt it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel high at all. I didn't feel nothing. And, I don't want to say I have more trauma than anybody, but, I got a fair bit to deal with.
And, and this is where, people have to realize, like, this isn't a miracle drug. Like, it doesn't, you take it and all of a sudden, Willy Wonka, it's something's changing in your mind, right? What it does is it works behind the scenes to get into your body, into your brain, right?
So when you do a lot of mushrooms, it will give your brain it will give your brain a big charge. If you do microdosing, it gives it little charges slowly, and they build up.
And they repair nerve endings, and they repair receptors. Burnt out receptors and stuff. It actually, starts to fix those. Right, so your brain operates on another level.
Your brain is more active on psilocybin than not on psilocybin.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, right. And so taking that is kind of like going to the gym. I always say it to clients, like, this is like going to the gym. You want to go lose weight? You want to go and run a marathon, right? You got to start training now. So you go to the gym, and your first workout sucks balls. Your first workout is painful the next day. You don't want to go back to the gym. There's nothing. You start questioning, what am I doing? Like, this all happens with people, right? And even losing weight, the first day, eat a salad, consume, a third of your calories on a regular basis. And you just feel like, why did I do that? I'm still fat, or I'm still,
But some people
it's
go
the
to
progress.
some people go to the gym not just to lose the weight, but for that outlet, to calm down, to get the blood moving, I think microdosing right before you went to the gym is one of the best. Get the blood moving, get it so it takes it through your whole body.
Yeah. And so let's get into stories, because I got an athlete that I've worked with before, and he was doing wrestling. He was a wrestler, and won't say too much about him because they might be when I point it out, but he's going for a very high level of wrestling, and he was going through immense pain, like a lot of pain, and he was taking CBDs and wasn't doing any juice or anything like that. Nothing's crazy, but he's taking CBDs, and CBDs are kind of helping. But what his coach and him figured out was because this was an old injury, he was so cautious about this injury that it prevented him to the point where he believed that he was in pain in his thing. And so he was researching, and he found out about mushrooms and how mushrooms were helping guys in jiu-jitsu and world-class athletes focus, right? On like, because jiu-jitsu is very focused.
It's like a chess match.
It's a flowing dance that people do, right? So you don't fight against it. You got to roll with it and make your moves, right? So the mushrooms were allowing these jiu-jitsu guys to be more focused in their moves and more connected to the guy they're fighting. And also it allowed them to understand their body more and to be more self-aware of little things on his body. So the guy came to me and I said, okay, let's hook you up. So we started getting him on doses, on microdosing. And fuck, man, he basically already gave it away, but he came to the conclusion that he was so paranoid about his injury that he made himself believe that he was injured. So there'd be certain things he would be like, oh, I can't do that, even though that was his finisher or that was his move, his thing. So he had to get over that. So when it comes to like sports psychology and doubting and, you know, not taking that chance, and going all the distance or whatever the Rocky analogies are that we can use here, right? With the microdosing, it allowed him to get over that, right? He's just a young guy and he didn't need to have this negative thinking about his craft.
Yep.
At such a young age over a stupid shoulder injury. It doesn't make sense. Right. But he's had to get over it. And he was microdosing. I haven't talked to him for a while, but he was microdosing probably 6-8 months. And he's like, dude, it was all it was, psychological. Right. And it just goes to show that the trauma that he experienced hurting his shoulder never went away. He got better. His shoulder got better. He got strong. He was doing presses. He was wrestling. He was strong. But the trauma was still there. Yep. The sadness that he felt when he didn't win that match because he hurt himself, that trauma he never got rid of. And that's what prevented him from taking that step forward to being better, right? It's so crazy. But the mushrooms and the microdosing allowed him to see he was just being insane.
Let him expand his brain and let him see from a different angle.
And I mean, and so, with athletes, you're an athlete, you're in sports, and, you find that you can't get that next level or there's something missing in your training or something, consider this. Consider microdosing during your training.
Watch a Joe Rogan podcast. He's an athlete.
Yeah, for sure, man. And he's the one that got me onto it. You know, watching him. I was watching Joe Rogan and he went to the mountains talking about microdosing and everyone, thought it was just Joe tripping on drugs, right? And no, he had something early, right? He's truly the pioneer of all this, right?
Yeah,
getting people
I agree.
What experience have you had with somebody that you've introduced?
Well, I did introduce a couple of these ladies. They're definitely they do yoga, they work out a lot, and they, I think, do microdosing a little bit different. They started doing mushrooms recreational, and I got them onto the microdosing. And the way that they do it is, when they feel down, they do double doses. So they'll take a 0.5 gram.
Yeah.
And a 0.5 gram is not too much to function.
About 500 milligrams.
500 milligrams. And it will put a smile on your face.
Definitely.
However, there's no real way to do that consistently, and it's going to help you, I don't think. However, I mean, it works for these girls, every couple days, or even every day. Yeah. 0.5 gram. There's another way. We were going to talk about different ways you can ingest mushrooms. And my favorite way, besides gummies and chocolates, is tea. Tea, just because it's sort of like a coffee. You don't take a caffeine pill and it hits you all at once. You drink a coffee slowly, and the caffeine is slowly comes into your body. And I think with psilocybin, that's my favorite way.
So psilocybin tea.
Yeah.
In the bags.
Psilocybin tea.
That's good. Yeah, we're gonna have those pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, those are great. I've never had a tea. I've
Never had a mushroom tea.
Never had a mushroom tea.
I've
The only ways I've ever taken it was obviously with the biomass
capsules.
just capsules, right? I've taken I've tried the drops before.
Yeah.
So someone gave me a drop that was I forget what it was. It's like 1,000 milligram drop or something. Like it was crazy.
So a gram drop.
Nanotechnology, all this technology that's coming out with mushrooms. It's crazy, right? So this is like nanotechnology, whatever thing. And I was blown away. Like it was just a drop and I was fried. Like it was gone. So I've done that way. I've done the gummies. Now the gummies are interesting.
Tasty.
Very tasty and very deceiving. You have to be very careful with the gummies.
Yeah.
Right? Because gummies can catch you slipping.
And you got to remember, 2 of those gummies from the Dames, the 3,000 milligram in the bag, 2 of them equals half a gram pretty much. So,
right.
You do 3 or 4 gummies and you're gonna see something, or you're gonna definitely feel altered state.
Yeah, those gummies on microdose bc.net, the Dame gummies. If you want to try gummies, go to there. Those are the ones to try. They're tasty.
Absolutely
and
tasty.
they're worth the value of the price of them because of how much is in there. So I don't know. Are they a good one for microdosing? Probably.
100%. Yeah.
Just you bite it.
Yeah, they're infused gummies. There's 2 different strengths. There's a bag of 12 that has 1,500 milligrams. So each one is about 110 or 120 milligrams. And then there's the more powerful ones. The bag's 3,000 milligram for 12 pieces. So you do the math there, and that's about, I guess, 200 milligrams per.
Oh yeah, it's good. There's a difference between infused and what's the other one? There's infused.
Infused, and then there's
it's like injected or something, or
not injected. It's you can infuse the gummies, or you can.
Oh, I know the word's slipping past me, but it makes a difference because of the level of psilocybin in each one, right?
Yeah.
And the way that it's manufactured, right? So, they can take that psilocybin, take it out of the plant, and then use that, and then they infuse it. What's the other word? I'm confused.
That's when you extract the
Extract
psilocybin. Infusing it is, say, you have a machine and you heat it up and you run some sort of, you can run oil through it and that'll infuse the oil.
Oh, I gotcha.
So you run the gummy liquid through hot, it infuses it with the psilocybin, then you pour it into the trays.
And then it turns to gel, turns to the mold.
Turns to the gummies.
Oh, okay.
There's not, we're not as far with mushrooms as we are with marijuana. Not even close. There's companies that are, getting the CBGs out of marijuana. Like there's cannabinoids that we don't even know about that they're extracting.
Yeah.
And mushrooms are going to get there.
Yeah,
Mushrooms are going to get there. I've been growing for just over a year now, and how can I get more psilocybin in my mushrooms? Maybe more nitrogen, or, we haven't got there yet, but it's coming. It's coming. When you go into a marijuana dispensary, you look at, a bud of weed and it tells you, there's 24%, THC, a certain percent of CBD. We're not there with the mushrooms yet.
Yeah.
But we're coming. We're coming.
So I was contacted by a lovely girl, 35 years old.
Young woman,
35 years old, and she had suffered some of the most atrocious trauma that I've personally been around. This one's always stuck with me. It always really has affected me. She, as a toddler, she was molested by both her father and her uncle, one after another, for years, for about 10 years, until she was 13. And she finally was taken from her home. I believe the men went to jail, but the trauma was already done.
Oh, yeah.
So you kick ahead 20-something years later, and when I met her. And at this point in her life, she had never kissed a boy. She had never been in an intimate relationship with a man. she had forced herself to become a lesbian because she needed some sort of contact and some sort of love from somebody, touch, what humans need, compassion. So she forced herself to be gay, okay? And it just got to a point where she's like, I can't take this anymore. I've done fucking meds. I've gone to therapy. I've done, scans. I'm sad. I don't know what to do. They use drugs. They don't know what to do. So I met her, and I had heard about her trauma, and so I'm like, you know what? I don't want to talk to her. And this as an altered state session, sometimes they start right when you hear about it. And so I told her I didn't want to talk to her. We're going to talk on the day. And the first day I met her, we went right into it. One thing I don't like to do is small talk. Just, hey, how you doing? I don't even ask how you doing because I already know how you're doing. You're doing shit. You can't, I'm doing good. I'm good. No, you're not. Like, stop. So I go right into the trauma. We go right into usually what happens when I first see somebody is I sit for about 10 minutes in silence. Like I said about silence last episode, right? And feel the silence, hear it, get through it. This is awkward, yes, but I need you to break down your ego. It's an ego breaker, right? Silence, making them feel awkward. And then get the tea and get the, whatever. And dude, she went in for about 8 hours. She was in straight psychology. Like she did 6 grams of psilocybin, like literally 6 grams. And she was out for about 7 hours, 8 hours. She came out of it and she was just like, it looked like she was on like a Disney roller coaster ride with her hair wet. Like it was like she was crying, laughing, screaming. Like it's nuts, right? When people go through this, it's like a demon coming out of them. And basically all I do is I go there and I just make sure that they're good. And, I do a couple things that I won't tell people in case they do the therapy. But one thing that I do is I bring up their trauma as much as possible while they're high. And everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe you do that. I'm high. But that's the point of this, is that you want the psilocybin and the mushrooms to hear and feel your trauma.
You want the truth.
And you want the truth. The truth has to come out to yourself. So what I do is I bring up the trauma out, and I always ask like the person that raped you, what's their names? Like, what are their names? Like, I ask a lot of questions like, what do you remember good about your childhood? Like, I try to really bring them back to that time. I want them thinking about it and not ignoring it, because ignoring is what we've been doing our whole life. We ignore our trauma. This is not the time. Bring it up. It's just me and you.
Yep.
And the mushrooms. Just bring it up, right? And so she went through all that and left, and like literally 6 weeks later, I get a text, and she's like, oh my God. She was up on Whistler Mountain, and she was back up there, and she's like, oh my God, I just got a boyfriend today for my first time. And she's like, you have no idea how this is how, and now she's gone. She's traveling. She's got a boyfriend. She travels around, and she's like, freedom, dude. And I'm like, what happened with, and like typical Mike, what's up with the trauma? Like, what's up with your thoughts about what happened to you? And she goes, you know what? It happened, and I'm not going to let it rob me of my life.
Acceptance.
She got it.
Yep.
And dude, and I will say this to people. It's not me. It's not you. We aren't magicians.
No.
But what we do is we create the perfect setting for you. We know what your brain needs to be able to accept what happens to you. And we just put you through that experience. Yep. It's just the experience. Sometimes people need 2, 3. Sometimes it's only once, right? But it's that experience that's properly run by people who give a shit and that understand what you need to do. That's what helps you understand yourself. Right.
And that's why we're altered state therapy coaches.
Yeah, man. Right. And so, with that said, if you have any questions, if you want to learn more about what we do and how microdosing can help you, go on Insta, look up microdosebc.net, We have an Insta on there. We have My Mushroom Experience, so you can see.
Newsletter?
Yeah, we have a newsletter. If you go to the microdosebc.net site, right at the very bottom, scroll all the way down, sign up for our newsletter. I'm going to put it in the details below. Sign up for our newsletter and get involved. We're looking to get people on microdose program. We're going to give away a free microdose program every month. Come there and give you a little bit of a little talk, show you what you can do with your with the microdosing, see what kind of meds you're on. We'll do a full evaluation and get you started with a free month, right? So we're going to do that every single month. So make sure you go and sign up on the newsletter and get involved. And if you want to see any more information, all you have to do is hit us up on our DMs, slide into our mushroom DM, and just hit us up, man. James is really open to talk about everything. I'm super open to talk about everything. And we're here to hopefully help you get over that hump in life, right?
Expand your mind.
Expand your mind, baby.
And live life.
All right, this is the Morning Dose podcast. Don't forget to take your dose every single morning. You can join us here on our weekly, we do it a few times a week, podcast right here, the Morning Dose. That man over there is James Coulter. My name is Mike Olton, and we'll see you again next morning. Don't forget, always take your dose in the morning. Thank you very much.